take our lives, but not our love. So paint me a place in every color.
Hey guys, what is going on? It is Grant Smithable, and today we are going to be doing another Photoshop tutorial. And basically what we're going to be creating is a planet and a star field and some gaseous clouds in the middle of space. This is one of the most awesomest tutorials that I've ever done on YouTube. I just finished mine. I just finished what I did the other day with it, and it looks incredible, and I thought I'd do a tutorial on it. So this is going to be more on the photo manipulation side. It's not going to be a text effect, as you may have guessed already. But to do this actual tutorial, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need first a computer, of course. Bet you didn't think I was going to say that, did you? Nah. Yeah, you're going to need a computer, you need Photoshop, of course. But one thing you're going to need is any kind of JPEG, any kind of image. Basically, what I did was I got, if you type in textures in Google, you can find a whole bunch of textures, and basically what you're going to use that image for is that's going to be your planet. You're going to make, you can make your planet out of any textures. So basically, I went ahead and got this image off Google. If you just type in textures, you can find this one right here. So that's basically what I did. I got this one, and this is going to be the basic. This is going to be how my planet's going to look, but it's going to be round. So I'll leave a link in the description for this, and I'll leave a link in the description just where I found all my images and where you can look if you don't like this one. So this is what I'm going to be using, and basically in the end it should this is how mine ended, and I think this is amazing. So this is how mine ended. As you can see, we have the gaseous clouds in the sky, and we have our homemade planet, and we also have the lens flare. It's really nice, and a shadow on the planet. So as you can see, that's not Earth, it's just a distortion of this. So to do this, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a new you're just going to create a new document. So you can hit Control N, or you can just hit New. And basically, I already have a preset set of dimensions. Basically, my width is going to be 1550, the height is going to be 870, and the resolution is going to be 150. And once you have all that down, you can go ahead and press OK. So now we have our basic document, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this lock off that. We don't need that. Alright, so now the first step is filling this in with black. So since black is my foreground color, as you can see right down here, to make this black, you want to make sure that black is your foreground color, and you want to hit Alt and Delete, and it automatically fills in everything with black. So that's a nice key shortcut. So after you do that, basically now we're going to be creating the stars. So you want to go, the first step is to go to Filter, and you want to go down to Noise and go to Add Noise. So you want to make sure that you have these set, or yours might look like something different. You can change these if it might work for you. You can change stuff. So for me, I put the amount as 400. The distribution I put as Gaussian, and you want to make sure you have monochromatic checked. Once that's done, you can press OK or hit Enter. So yeah. So now we have this kind of weird old TV lookish noisy effect on our screen, and we're gonna want to make a copy of this layer by hitting Control J, and as you can see, we have a copy right down here. But we're gonna turn that copy off, and we're gonna go back to our first layer, and we're gonna do a couple more things. We're gonna go Filter, and we're gonna go Blur, and we want to go to Gaussian Blur, and you want to make sure you blur it by 5 pixels. Okay, so now it's kind of a little bit blurred, and now this is where it starts looking like a star field. You want to hit Control plus L, and that brings up the levels drop down, the levels menu, And you basically, for the first levels, you want to be changing these two values. So for this one, you want to make sure that you have that set to 200. And as you can see in the background, it already looks pretty starfieldy, if that's a word. It's probably not. Then the second value you want to change to 0.42 or 0.43. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so now once you do that, you hit OK. And as you can see, it already looks amazing, but we're going to do a couple more things. We're going to turn on that other layer that we made a duplicate of, and we want to make sure you turn on, select it, and we're basically going to be doing the same thing except doing something a little bit different. So we're going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and instead of changing, instead of having it 0.5 pixels, you want to have it at 2 pixels, and then click OK. And basically now it's even more blurred. And then you want to hit Control L to bring up the levels menu just like last time, but instead we're going to be changing this value and this value. I know, it's crazy, dude. So many values. So this one's 170 and this one's 172. So as you can see, it looks like blotches of white specks, but it's a little bit too vivid. So we're going to blur that down a bit. So we're going to go blur, Gaussian blur, and you want to blur it by 1 pixel. There's a lot of blurring going on. But yes, so now we have something a little bit like that. But what we're trying to do is we're going to actually make a selection of those stars. So to do that, we can go to channels and then hit this little circular. It's low channel as selection. So you want to click that, and as I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like a little. There's like a little sparkling going on because those are selected. So now with those selected, we can actually delete this layer because we already have the selection. And as you can see, now the selection is still there on the original star field. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually fill in those little spaces. So to do that, we can go ahead and just right click. It helps if you get your select tool and then just right click, and then you can go ahead and go fill, and you want to make sure you have used white, and blending mode is normal, and the opacity is 100. I'll go ahead and click OK, and if I hit Control D, which deselects it, as you can see there's some more wider dots in front of this image. So actually I'm going to hit Control Alt Z because I forgot to create a new layer. So once you have those selected, you want to make sure before you actually fill it in, you want to make sure you create a new layer. That's because whenever you fill in, that's all those stars are now like on a new layer, so you can edit those stars. So to do that, so let's just did what I did before. Okay, so now sorry about that, guys. So if you just do it how I did it the second time, and you'll be good to go. So now that I filled in those stars, we can go ahead and hit Control D, so it deselects it. And basically now if I double click on this, it will bring up the layer style drop down menu. And we're going to be adding effects to some of these stars. So the first effect is outer glow, and I think that's the only one that we're going to be doing. So the opacity you want to have at maybe, I think you'll have it at 60. And for the color, you want to just put it all the way to white. And for the size, you want to go about 10. Okay. Now that we have that, we are good to go. So as you can see, there's some closer stars, and that's why they look like they have a glow around them, and there's more distant stars. So that creates a more realistic effect in your star field. So now we have created the basic star field. So that's pretty much done. So now that that's done, we can merge these two layers. So now it becomes one layer. But we're not done. Now we're going to create the kind of gaseous clouds in this sky itself. Now this is a pretty cool effect, and it's pretty easy to do. So the first thing you want to do is create a new layer, and with black as my foreground, I'll hit Alt and delete. And as you can see now, like last time, there was a huge it filled in everything with black. So now that making sure that you're still on layer 2, you want to go to filter, and you want to go to render and go to clouds. Now as you can see, there is a I wouldn't call it a cloud, but you know, it kind of looks like that. But we want to create a layer underneath the cloud layer. So basically one right underneath here. So to do that, if you hold control and you hit the layer, the new layer, basically it creates a new layer underneath the first layer. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and now that we have that, basically what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our cloud layer, and we're going to change the blend mode to color dodge. So as you can see now, it's disappeared, but it's made other stars more visible. So with that, like that, now basically we're going to be adding in the colors. So you want to go to your layer 3 that we created, and basically this is where you get to pick any color you want. But I almost forgot to mention that there's a certain brush that you should be having. Basically I already have it saved right here, and basically all you want it to have is the size set at 700, not 7,000, 700, and this to set to 0, and then you want the opacity to be set at 10. And once you have that, you're good to go. You can actually change the size of this according to what you want, but this is how I have it. It's good for covering large areas of the star field itself, but whatever works for you. Now, if you hit F5, it brings up the brush presets menu, and you want to make sure you don't have anything checked except for smoothing. And once you do that, you can just close that. So now we're going to be adding colors. So I found that the best colors that work are blue, this kind of light aqua blue, green, and purple. I mean pink. Purple. Pink. So because those are the kinds of colors that are in gaseous clouds. So if I start with a blue, like that, and oh, I didn't select that. No. Okay, there we go. So now I can actually color in whatever you guys can color it in however you want, but I'm just going to start just like this. And as you can see, that is already an amazing effect. It looks like a gaseous cloud. So now we can do some pink there, and then we can get some aqua. And then maybe some green. Okay, so now we have our gaseous cloud, and I'm actually going to add a bit of pink in there more because I actually accidentally went over the pink with my other colors. So now we have our basic gaseous cloud, and I know some of you are laughing right now because I said gaseous cloud. It's not funny. Okay? It's not funny. Okay, so now we have this, and it looks pretty amazing. It looks pretty good, but what we're going to be doing is adding a planet in, and this is another one of my favorite parts. So like I said, you can choose whatever texture you want. I mean, this is how I created it, but this is the texture that I used. I mean, there's so many different textures that you can actually use to make your world. So to make your world is very simple. You want to make sure that you hit the elliptical marquee tool, like so, and you want to just make sure that you line it up right. Let me see if I can. Right at the edge, right here. Right at this edge, and you want to basically go all the way to this bottom edge. So if you click right at this top left edge and you hit shift and then continue to drag all the way to the bottom right, you will create a perfect circle, as you can see. So now that we have this perfect circle, basically we want to add this spherical effect of that. So to do that, you want, with this selected, you want to go filter, and you want to go distort, and then you want to go spherize, and it will bring up this. You just want the amount to be 100 and the mode to be normal. Once that's good, once that's like that, you can hit OK. And you want to basically do the spherize filter one more time, and to do that, a quick shortcut to be able to do that again is hit Control F, and basically it just does exactly what it did once more, and it creates a more realistic sphere. So now that we have that, if you go ahead and click on the move tool, you'll notice that the move tool has a pair of scissors right next to it, and it only happens whenever it's inside. That means because it's going to snip out that around that. So from there we can go to our star field that we just created and put that right there. Now because so as you can see, the cloud layer is above the planet layer, and we don't want that. We want the planet layer to be above. And my planet is actually too big, so I can go ahead and hit Control T to transform it, and it's way too big. So if I hit Shift and Alt and drag from one side, it doesn't distort it, it moves it all in the same place. I can go like that. Okay, you want something about, I'd say about right there, and then you can go ahead and click OK. And let me hit Control 0 to zoom in. Okay, so now we have our planet looking object right there. And before we continue, this is completely up to you guys right now. I mean, that looks like a very cool looking planet, but if you do choose to want to change the appearance of your planet, it's no problem. You can go to, with your planet layer selected, you can go to filter and go to liquefy, and from right here there's a bunch of different tools that you can use to distort the inside. So right now I'm using the move warp tool, and basically I can just move this to look like any real pretty much anything. Make sure that you don't actually move the edges too much, because you want the planet to look as spherical as possible. So you can do all sorts of stuff. You can also get this like twist clockwise tool thingy, and you can actually make it look like there's actual like there's gas, like there's like a that there's gas on the planet, you know, like also. So if you do get like something like that where it accidentally shows through, don't worry, you can get the pucker tool, and you can go ahead and then just squeeze it like that. Okay, so now that we have something like that, okay, so now that we have something like that, we can go ahead and something like that will do. Then something like that. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that we have our basic planet, so that looks pretty good to me. You guys can switch it up however you guys would like it, but now that we have that, we can now, so if you hit enter or OK, as you can see, that is our planet. Now it's not going to look that bad, but don't worry. So now what we're going to be doing is creating a shadow on the planet itself. And to do that, actually for right now, I'm actually just going to hit Control Alt Z to go back, and I'm just going to keep my planet like that. I'm actually just going to do something just a little bit different, just something very small, something like that. And that's basically all I'm going to do to the planet. Okay, so now we have our planet, and basically now I'm going to add a shadow to it to make it look more realistic. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to fill that with black, making sure that black is my foreground color. I can hit Alt Delete, and it fills that with black. Actually, you actually don't want to do that yet. You actually want to create a selection of the planet first. So to do that, if you if you hold Control and click on the planet layer, it will make a selection of your planet and then create a new layer, which I already did, and then fill it with black. So I can hit Alt Delete, and now it's black. But you want to make a layer mask of that. Okay, so now with the layer mask, you want to uncheck this this chain. So what that chain does is it means that whatever you do to one of the things, it will do to the other. So if you don't do that, you can change different things. And as you can see, I'm just dragging the black sphere over that, and you can kind of have it make it look like there's a shadow over it. So that looks somewhere kind of good. And now we'll go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you want to have this set pretty high. I'd say somewhere about 59, and hit OK. And as you can see, it looks more like a realistic shadow, but it became a little bit too small. So to size it up, if you hit Control T for Control Transform, and you just if you hold Alt Shift and drag one of the edges over just a bit and then move it up. Let's try this side. Something just like that, it should look perfect. And then you can hit this check. So now we have our basic shadow, and you can move it around as much as you want, as if you want more or less. But that's how I'm going to keep it. And so we have our shadow, and what I'm going to do now is create a outer glow to the planet. So to do that, we want to make sure we're on layer 4. Actually, just for help, I'm going to actually rename this as planet. And for this, I'll call this shadow, and this as cloud, and this as this as color, and this as background. Just so that will help us just a bit. And you want to go to your planet layer, and you want to create an outer glow around the planet. So to do that, if you double click on the planet layer to the right of it, it will open up the effects drop down menu. And you can click on outer glow and then click it and then click to the right of it, and it will show all the aspects of values that you can change of how you would like the outer glow. So for the blend mode, you want to go to normal, and for the opacity, you want to change that to about, I'd say, 56. And for the color, this is totally up to you, but for pretty much every single planet, it works best if you just put it all the way up to white. So now that we have that, you want to make sure that the size is set to, I'd give it about maybe 10. Yeah, something around there. I think 11 might be good. Yeah, and then maybe for the spread, I'd give it about 2. So that's pretty good, and you want to do the same with the inner glow. So we'll change the blend mode to normal, change the opacity to about, I'm going to raise it up a bit, about 79. This is going to be white, and for the size we'll go up to about 13, this at 3. Okay, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. So now we have our very cool looking planet, and if you want, you can actually change some of these values to, if it doesn't look good to you, or if that's not how you like it, then you can change it however you would, however you choose. So if we actually go maybe 39, oh, not 39, 39. Yeah, I think that looks good for that one. For this one, I think this should be 20. There we go. So yeah, so that's how I'm gonna have it. It makes it look a little bit better for the outside. And yeah, so that looks pretty good for right now. But the last thing that I'm going to be doing is adding an optical flare to the planet like I had right here. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll make a screenshot of what I have right now. So to do that, it's basically like what I have done right here. It's basically like what you've done, everything that you've created, you can create a JPEG of that. So to do that, you want to click on your top layer and hit Control Alt Shift E, and basically, as you can see, if I disable all those layers, there's still one. So if I take that off, then yeah. So this is basically that. So now what we're going to be doing is adding the optical flare, like I said. So to do that, you want to go render, and you want to go to lens flare. And as you can see, there is a lens flare right here, and you want to make sure you're at 35mm prime, and the brightness is set to 100. That's good. And you want to just put it right at the edge of the planet. You can have it anywhere you like, but I find that having it at the edge makes it look like there's a planet. There's like there's either a star right behind it, something like that. Yeah. So it's pretty cool because it adds like some light to the actual planet. And yeah, so that was it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment, and share. Also, if you would like to check out my Gmail, I've been trying to put some stuff up there. You can actually look at this picture and download it on my Gmail page. Also, that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to say that, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Won't stop till there's freedom.